My name is Addison Cummings, and the title of my TED Talk is Reimagining the Newsroom. I'm really involved in the broadcast journalism space here at BU. Last semester, I was executive producing live election coverage, producing a 60-minute episode. And when we walked into the newsroom on the morning of November 6th, it was right after we had discovered who the new president of the United States was. And when we went to see it, which of our fellow students were tuning in, we saw that unfortunately so much of the student body was getting their news primarily from these social media platforms, Instagram Reels, TikToks, X, and YouTube Shorts. And what really sparks my interest on this day is okay, Gen Z is digesting news in a fundamentally different way, in a way we've never viewed before. And the thing about this generation is we're not really reading headlines here. We're reading reactions. We're going to comment sections. We no longer want to passively consume information. We want to actively participate in the conversation. So that's what sparked the inspiration for this TED Talk, Reimagining the Newsroom.
Oh, that's really exciting. And you've worked in both major networks like Fox News and Channel 9, as well as, like you already mentioned, student-led media at BU. How did those experiences differ and how did they inform your talk?
Yes. So, doing the news, working inside the newsroom in Australia was really different than working inside the newsroom in America, especially Fox News. I was working on a current affair in Australia, which we were doing a range of different things. And a lot of my time was spent out in the field with these reporters versus Fox. I was working with the producers inside of the newsroom. And they informed this conversation because, especially with Fox News Media, our reporters were constantly trying to figure out how to condense your stories into bite-sized pieces to put on social media. Um, so they would come up to me and say, okay, how do you think we could get this story into a 30-second TikTok, like a 5 or 6 minute story? Like, need you to choose the sound bites and then the lines of the piece that are most relevant. And it really got me thinking as well because number one, it's like, how do you maintain authentic news, especially like being a credible source when you're trying to condense into a really short audio visual format? And number two, what these networks really were missing is that social media isn't just a distribution tool here because our reporter would come on and spend hours creating these videos, and then you would swipe, and it's such a saturated market. The next video would be someone, from their basement saying the exact opposite thing that completely contradicted what she was putting out. So it's more of a question of who do you believe here. So that's what really got the ball rolling. And then coming into my senior year after this internship experience, I was like, okay, what does this really mean? How do we effectively engage this generation? Because primarily focusing on social media isn't it.
And then, with that said, how do you think emerging journalists can balance engagement with credibility?
I mean, a lot of it in what we're seeing with Gen Z is wanting to feel like we're seeing the operations behind the scenes and we're involved in and we're a part of this conversation. So what that really looks like is live reporting, engaging audiences, having comment sections where it's not just focused on reactions, but it's actually about processing the information, making sense of the information. How can we work with local communities and shed light on these voices and bring them into the discussion?
Yeah. And then, what do you think the consequences are of sticking with the status quo of how news is communicated?
Okay, so I feel like the major loss here is it's absolutely necessary. And what Gen Z is demonstrating time and time again to develop this authentic connection with the person that's delivering this information from them. Because what Gen Z is really resisting here is being talked at. Not, it's this idea like, how can we also participate and how do we connect with the person that's delivering this news? Hence the reason why so many people go and look towards these influencers for to make sense of their of these main events, looking for someone who can give this condensed bullet point list of what's going on to them. So I think what we're really risking here is eyeballs. We're By sticking to the status quo, we're losing thousands and thousands and thousands of potential viewers, and most concerningly, Gen Z viewers.
Do you think that there's any outlets that are ahead of the curve in terms of engaging Gen Z viewers?
Yes, yes. Particularly the New York Times has been at the front lines of these efforts in their way of innovative storytelling. They're on their digital platform, they're interweaving these audiovisual components. They'll have a story on the left side, and then on the right side, they'll have a reporter video breaking down what's going on, and they're constantly weaving in different videos into their actual site. That, along with their really wide variety of different podcasts, for instance, The Daily. Sabrina Tavernisi and Michael Vivaro, yes, is the best. Because I mean, everyone who's listening to The Daily feels like they have an intimate relationship with Sabrina and Michael, in that these are the people waking them up each morning. These are the people that they trust to tell you nothing but the truth. And both Michael and Sabrina are bringing you in on behind the scenes, making you feel like you're really part of this conversation, and they're talking to people on site within these local communities. It's not fragmented in the way that we've seen with so many other networks.
Based on our conversation today, I've gathered that your talk isn't just about the news, it's about truth, trust, the future of information, and the attention economy. So, what's one key takeaway you hope that people leave with after your talk?
The main takeaway that I would like my viewers to take to really remember from this speech is we don't have to choose between credibility and connection. We're able to foster a space in the newsroom that authentically engages these audiences while informing.
Great, that's actually really exciting. And then finally, why should people come see TEDxBU generally on April 5th?
Oh, to learn, to learn. We have so many interesting speeches, such brilliant speakers. I'm so excited to learn from the my fellow speakers. Everybody's talk is going to be incredible. So I would invite everyone to come to challenge their previous ways of thinking and to think bigger, and also meet some really fun people along the way.